Hi, book friends. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk books with Shannon. I am Shannon. Happy New Year. We're closing up 2024 and starting a new year. And in this video, I am going to give you my December wrap up. I read 8 books this month. Few less than what my normal is, but that's typically November and December because of all the holidays. There's a lot of activities and I don't read quite as much, but 8 books is still okay. So we'll wrap those up, and then in the same video, I'm going to go ahead and do my January TBR. So let's get started. First book I read in the month of December was Funny Story by Emily Henry. Love this book. I love Emily Henry's writing. She always has just a lot of she just has a way of balancing, heart and romance and substance, and it's wonderful. So this one we're following Daphne and Miles, and Daphne is engaged in the start of the story, and Miles has a girlfriend. Well, Miles' girlfriend and Daphne's fiance know each other. They were friends growing up, and they end up falling for each other and leaving Daphne and Miles alone and heartbroken. So and Miles is hilarious. He's so cute. He's so amusing. He's listening to sad music all the time. He's very dramatic. But Daphne ends up moving in with Miles because she has nowhere else to go. And she lives in kind of a dump. So she ends up moving in with him. And they end up fake dating in order to get their exes jealous. So the story goes from there. And it is delightful. I gave this book 4.5 stars. And I will continue to read everything Emily Henry puts out. Let me give you a quote from this one. Well, there's a couple I have that I really liked. You can't force a person to show up, but you can learn a lesson when they don't. And let's give you one more. The same universe that dispassionately takes things away from you can bring you things you weren't imaginative enough to think up. Love that. Okay. Next book I read, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. And this book is very cozy, very sweet, very small town. And if you don't overanalyze it and just enjoy it, then it's a great read. But I've seen a lot of people give it poor ratings, and I just feel like, okay, don't overanalyze. It's just appreciate it for what it is. A small town, sweet, fluffy romance. So anyway, I enjoyed it very much. I gave it 3.5 stars. In this book, we're following Jeannie and Logan. And Jeannie has moved to the small town because her aunt has left her the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So she starts running it, and with the help of some of the friends and some of the employees. And Logan is the local farmer who sells her produce and drops produce off. So that's how they meet. There's also a small mystery involved in this book. That is, it's like someone's trying to sabotage Jeannie because they didn't want her taking it over. So they're breaking windows, etc. So she has to figure that out as well. But I thought it was sweet and cozy and wonderful. And I gave it 3.5 stars. And, it was a good palate cleanser. So, and a quote from that one, kind of a funny quote from that one. He didn't have a ton of friends. He probably shouldn't murder this one. One more. There was a history in this house. It was worn in like the perfect pair of old jeans. Okay, next book I read in the month of December I was continuing a series. I read Daisy Haites The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Park series, and I am enjoying this series more and more as it progresses. So in this one, we're following Daisy Haites again, and her brother Julian is a gang lord and is involved in a lot of illegal business, and she wants to get away from that. So in the start of this story, she's living with her boyfriend and wants nothing to do with the family business. So then her life becomes threatened, and it comes to the point where she needs to move back in with her brother and the gang members, including Christian, who is always nearby and who is the love of her life, and her ex. This story is, like I said, it really doesn't have a lot of plot. None of these books do. It just follows these characters as they go through their life, and I don't know, I've become a little bit attached to them. So I'm really enjoying this. One thing about this book that annoys me is the footnotes. It's the only reason it didn't get a 5-star from me, because I really, really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite of the series so far. But I gave it 4.5 stars because those footnotes drive me crazy. I don't know why. I don't know if they bother anyone else. Comment below if you have read this series and the footnotes bothered you or didn't, but they'd make me crazy. Anyway, so, and in this book also we have Magnolia. Magnolia is with Julian for a good part of this story, and she is still, of course, in love with her ex, BJ, and Julian is falling hard for Magnolia. So you get actually two kind of romances in this book. So fun book, a lot of fun. Okay, a quote from this book. It's the great undoing of my heart as I know it. I think we're getting into all the Christmas books that I read next. Okay, the next book I read in the month of December was One Day in December by Josie Silver. This book was not what I expected at all. I was expecting a light, fluffy Christmas read. That's what when I'm reading a Christmas romance, that's what I expect. Wrong. This book had so much more depth than I thought it would. And I ended up crying in this book, and it was emotional. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think I gave it, let me look, 4.5. I gave this book 4.5 stars. In this book, we are following Lori and Jack. And Lori sees the love of her life on a train one day outside the bus and just feels connected to him and him to her. And as he finally decides to try and get on the bus takes off. And so they never meet. And she spends the better part of the next year looking for him, hoping to run into him again. And that doesn't happen. And then her best friend and roommate at a Christmas party brings him home one day. And the minute she sees him, she knows that was the man from the bus. And he also knows that was the girl from the bus, but he hides that. And because he's involved with her roommate. So they start out as, she makes friends with him because they are serious, and her best friend and Jack. And the next 10 years covers all kinds of ups and downs and emotions for them. So anyway, loved this book, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was wonderful. I'm looking for quotes. Let me see. Sometimes you just meet the right person at the wrong time. And another one, I'll tell you what I think. Your place isn't somewhere, it's someone. It's a wonderful story of just friendship, betrayal, heartbreak, grief, love. There's a lot of emotions in this one. Okay, so just know that, but it was wonderful and beautiful, and I loved it. 4.5 stars. I read a very bossy Christmas by Kaylee Loring. I've never read this author before. The only reason I even picked this book up, and it just makes me laugh every time I see the cover, but the only reason, I'm usually not drawn to covers like this, but I have an alphabet challenge in my reading journal, and I had it all complete except for the V. I didn't have a V, so I was bound and determined to find a V Christmas book to read this month, and so I did. A Very Bossy Christmas qualified as my V. So I finished my alphabet challenge with this one. So I wasn't expecting much from this book, and I was pleasantly surprised. I liked this book. Okay, in this book, we're following Maddie and Declan. And Maddie is Declan's assistant. He's a high up executive, and she's his assistant. And he needs a fake girlfriend when he goes back home for the Christmas holidays for a few different dates. And she agrees to this, and I loved it. It has an Irish element to it, which I really appreciated. There's lots of little Irish quotes, which I really liked. Declan is very swoony, and Maddie is also very strong and kind of badass and also very smart. So I really enjoyed it. I gave this book 4 stars. And a quote from this one: I don't want to lose her as an assistant. I don't want to lose her as my girlfriend. I want all of it to be real, and I want it all to last. My next Christmas book was Love Life Farms by B.K. Borson. I was excited to read this one because I know it's the start of a series, and I love a good series. So this one follows Stella and Luca, and Stella owns a Christmas tree farm that's been in her family, and it's struggling and having a hard time, and she decides to enter this contest to win prize money to help her with the farm. And she lies on the application and says that it belongs to herself and her boyfriend. And she does that because she knows the woman who's putting on the contest is, has a real romantic heart, and she feels like she would benefit if she had a boyfriend. So she ends up, Luca is her best friend from childhood and ends up taking on the role of her fake boyfriend for when they come into town and judge the contest. So story goes from there, but it was delightful. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. Luca was so great and made me laugh often in this book. I gave this book 4.25 stars, and I'm looking forward to the next book in the series. The next book I read, and I'll flash the picture up because I got this one from the library, was The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. And I read the first 2 books of this one, the Halloween books, which were The Kiss Curse and The Ex-Hex, and I enjoyed them very much. They were 4-star reads for me. This one follows one of the brothers from those stories, Bowen, who is a witch. He's a bit more of a loner than his brothers were. And the female character is Tamlin, who's not a witch, but she works with witches. And Bowen hires her. He hires her to find some artifact. Because of a spell and a mishap, they travel back in time. So it's a time travel story, and they have to navigate getting back. I enjoyed this story. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first 2, but I ended up giving this story 3.25 stars. A quote from this one, Tamlin says, "Personal rule, never get involved with a coworker. But also a personal rule, never let a good mistletoe moment pass you by." I like that. Okay, another book that I read, and I read this one on my Kindle, so I don't have a copy, but I'll flash it up there for you, is How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. Megan Quinn wrote this one. And we're following Cole and Story. And Story comes back into this small town to take care of her aunt who is sick. And Cole lives in the small town and has his whole life. And Story left this small town when she was young, kind of on a bad note, and has not been back to see her aunt or see the town in many, many years, 10 years or so. So she ends up, her aunt wants her to enter the Christmas Kringle competition. And in this small town, it's Christmas year round. I think the name of the small town is Kringle. And it's Christmas year round. They celebrate Christmas all year round. But when it's, so they have this Christmas competition at the holiday time, and she enters it. And so he's very upset that she's entering the contest because he doesn't feel like she deserves to win. So he enters the contest, which is very unlike him. And so they're competing the whole time. It had some moments that I liked, and it had some moments I didn't like. It was grinchy and amusing and festive. I really felt like Christmas, which was great. So those were some of the positives. Some of the negatives, it was a little too long for me for a romance. I think it was well over 400 pages, 450 to 480 pages. And there were a lot of cringy moments in this book for me. So those were the downside. So I ended up landing on 3 stars, just 3.0. So, but it definitely had some sweet, funny moments. So, and this was my first book by Megan Quinn. So if you're a Megan Quinn fan, you will probably enjoy this one. Okay, that's all of them. That's my 8 books I read in December. And we're going to go ahead and jump into my January TBR. Okay, friends, we're going to go ahead and start with my January TBR. We're going to use the wheel to pick my my books this month. I usually normally I read 10 to 12 books a month, except for in the busier months, whenever I read about 8. But so I'm going to let the wheel pick 8 books for me, and then other books that come up, whether it be library or borrowed or Kindle or whatever, always are added in. So let's pick 8. My first wheel is going to be colors. So we're going to start the wheel and see what color it lands on. Okay, black or green, a black or green cover. Now, I've kind of pulled a whole bunch of books. I have about, 15 or 20 books here of books that I want to read soon. So let me see if I've got a black or a green cover. So we've got No Exit by Taylor Adams is black. I read one book by him this last year and really liked it, so decided to pick up another one. I read The Last Word by him this year and really enjoyed it. So this is the black cover. And these two I really want to read too. Kristen Hanna, I've never read. I want to read The Nightingale to start. I've never read one of her books, and I think this one is a good one to start. It's kind of green-blue, but I think it can count as green. And then I read a Mariana Zapata book last year that I really liked. I've only read one of hers. I read All Roads Lead Here and loved it. So I picked up another one of her books. And this one is green, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I think I'm going to start off with a romance. We're going to pick The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. If you've read this book, comment below. Let me know if you think I'll like it. How many words in the title? I have, let's see what we've got. Whoops. Spin the wheel for that one. 3 or more words. 3 or more words in the title. So this one has the most words in my pile. Everyone in My Life Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I think I'm going to pick that one because also one of my goals for 2025 was that every month, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I gravitate to romance. And I like other genres a lot, but I read probably 70% of my books are romance. So I have a goal that at least 3 books a month are not going to be romance. They're going to be anything else other than romance. So general fiction, memoirs, thrillers, historical fiction, all those books, all those genres I enjoy. So anyway, so this will get me started on that particular goal. This month I need to have 3 books that are not romance. So I'm going to choose Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone for my book that's over 3 words. A genre wheel. Okay, so let's just, what genre? And we have different genres listed on the wheel, so we will see what it lands on. A fantasy book. Okay. A Court of Wings and Ruin. I'm in the middle of the ACOTAR series and have not read this one yet. I even had it on my list for December, but it didn't happen because we got so busy with everything. So we're going to start it in January and see if I can get through it. If I can't get through it in January because of other books and stuff, I will continue it. But I'm at least hopefully going to at least start it. So I'm going to pick the Sarah J. Maas book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and continue the ACOTAR series. Okay, the next one is, I'm in the middle of a lot of series, so it says continue series. So we'll see what book it lands on, which series it lands on. I'm probably in the middle of, I don't even know, several series. So I listed about 4 of them on here. The Dirty Air series. Okay. That one is, the Dirty Air series is a series by Lauren Asher. I read the Dreamland Billionaire series and really liked it, so I started this series. The first book was called Throttled by her, and I really enjoyed it. And this is the next book in that series, Collided by Lauren Asher, and this follows race car drivers. So these are romances involved with race car drivers. So that will be the next one on the list. To start a series. I have many series I want to start. So we've listed about 4 of them on the wheel, and we'll see which one we get. The Wells Ranch series. That one's by Bailey Hanna, and the first one's called Alive and Wells, and that's a romance. And it's a cowboy romance, so I'm looking forward to that. I love cowboy romance, so we'll start that series this month. All right, what letter starts the book? Tap that. A or B? All right, I have 2 B's. I have Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. I love this cover. I think this cover is so cool. And I know the second one in the series has already come out, and it's a cool cover as well. So I'm tempted to read that one, but I also have Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. I have not read any Stephanie Archer books, and I know this is the first one in a standalone connected series. So I think I'm going to go with the beautiful cover. I'm going to read Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. Okay, this one I've just listed authors. So what author will I read? Again, I've got books by so many different authors on here. So I picked 4 authors on the wheel, and we'll spin the wheel and see what it lands on. Oh, Stephanie Archer. Well, I didn't pick that one in the last one. Whoops. So I will pick it in this one. And we'll read Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. Okay, the last one we're going to do is what word is in the title? I usually pick little words like in, and, on, of. And a book that has that in the title will be the book that I read. So those are the choices on the wheel. Let's see what it lands on. The. It's got to have the in the title. That's about 1 million books that I have. I have Daisy Jones and the Six. It has the in the title. And this is also not a romance. So that would give me my third book that isn't a romance. So that's probably the one I'm going to choose. I also have The Stopover by T.L. Swan, which is the start of the Mile High Club series, which I have not read yet, but want to. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid writing so much. And I've seen the series, Taylor Jones and the Six, and absolutely loved it. And I've heard great things about the book. And I need a third book this month that is not romance. So I'm going to choose this one, Daisy Jones and the Six. Okay, let's recap what we're reading. So for the first month of 2025, we have 8 books that we are putting on my TBR list. We have Collided by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in the Dirty Air series. We have Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer, a standalone, interconnected first book in the series of the Interconnected series. We have Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder, which I'm excited to try. I've never read a book by her. That'll be a new author for me. Also a new author for me, Alive and Wells, Bailey Hanna. That is the first book in the Wells Ranch series. Cowboy romance, love those. I have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. And A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. That's our first month. So very excited to get started on my January reading. So friends, that is it for now. So if you have read any of these books, please comment below. If you're looking forward to reading any of these books as well, let me know. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Please take care of each other. Happy reading.